Hello guys, this is Pedro Raufi from Gerchik Co and you're watching the markets review for this week. We are, as always, going to start from the review of the news background. We're going to get into the technical analysis later and check the situation on the stock market of the United States. We're going to check the technical situation on the Forex pairs, the energy sector, the commodity sector as well. We're going to check all of them. And we're going to check the situation on the cryptocurrency market as well. So we are going to actually check all the spectrum of the important assets, and mostly we're going to start with the stock market. Of course, that's the heat map of the United States stock market. As you know, it's kind of made some downward movements during previous week, and we are going to see what happened actually with our predictions, what is going on nowadays with the stock market. And mostly I wanted to pay attention on the news which have released yesterday about the Federal Reserve System decision. As you see the serious picture of Mr. Jerome Powell on this news site and on this news page. The news actually is about the Federal Reserve System interest rate hike to 0.75%, which could make stock market to get dumped a little bit, maybe further than local minimums. For example, S&P, Dow Jones, and Nasdaq as well. And that's actually could happen because there is a really high prices nowadays on the gas and on the food market. One of the really most bad maybe situation in which nowadays world is kind of getting to is the prices of the food and prices of energy, which is caused by the war between Russia and Ukraine as well. So here in the news, actually can see the reasons of the probability of Federal Reserve System interest rate hiking, or as we say, the monetary policy tightening, which could happen in the near future. And straightly to the stock market, to the situation on the S&P 500. We're going to actually start with S&P 500, Dow Jones, and Nasdaq, and then get to the Forex pairs, and then energy sector, commodity sector, and we will actually finish the program by the analyzing the assets from the cryptocurrency market. So from previous time, if you remember, we had some reversal from the local minimum, the local support of 2008, 2007, and we actually told you that prices mostly could retest the psychological level of 4,000, and that's what happened. So could we wait for the next continuation of this upward movement? I don't think so, because that's a psychological level, and that's a retest of psychological level. Maybe, as we told from previous time, so, speculatively and falsely, we could, for example, retest 4,100, but that would be just a speculation. So, as you know now, the potential of the upward movement actually is kind of under the question. And I don't know, prices would really retest 4,050, for example, 4,100. That's a really serious question. So mostly, I think that prices are going to get ready for reversal and downward turn. So predictions from previous time actually didn't have kind of changed, because we waited for the retest of the psychological level of 4,000 and the next reversal. So the next reversal could happen during the next week, during this week, but mostly during this week we are going to observe the retest of the result of the retest of 4,000. So the result of the retest would be at first the consolidation phase and then the reversal, or it could be a fast reversal, for example. So this would be something related to the stop of the upward movement, which could actually happen during this week. And the industrial index of Dow Jones, which have been retested the $32,000. It was the target level actually, $32,000. And here the situation kind of the same. We are now retesting the mirror level, the local resistance of 32,000. So would we get higher? I don't think so. We're just getting into some phase which could cause the next reversal and the downturn of the prices. Now, this kind of amplitude, this kind of pressure of the amplitude could actually cause the next jump. But this would be a speculation. This would be a speculative movement. And this could, for example, continue to 33 maybe thousand, but this would be a real speculation. So 32,500, 33,000 could really get retested in the near future. But you have to know that this is all the part of a next speculation. So after which we actually get into a consolidation and the next reversal. The IT, as we say, or high tech index of the United States stock market, which have been raised as well to $12,000 to 12,500. There's actually a level of 13,000, which is a mirror level, which is a local resistance, but we haven't yet get to this level. So there would be a potential of a speculative retest of 13,000, but mostly we have to be careful with that because this could be just speculation. So the retest of 13,000 is could that's really could happen, but before we get reversed. But we have to pay attention that mostly this would be a really speculative movement. So would it happen? Would it really retest the 13,000 because it's an important level actually? And before we get to this level, could we reverse, for example, and break through the local minimums and go lower? Because the hiking of the interest rate or the tightening of monetary policy could really cause this kind of movement, could really make prices to fall, to the stock market prices to fall further. And we're going to get to the Forex pairs, and we're actually starting from the dollar prices indexes. But before we get to this, we are going to see what is going on with the economic calendar of today or of this week generally. So for today at 2 o'clock by GMT, we're going to have the consumer confidence for the United States, which is getting lower, and new home sales, which is getting lower as well. So these two releases are going to be negative today. This could maybe have some negative impact on dollar prices, but mostly the Federal Reserve System decision today, tomorrow, or during this week could make dollar prices to jump really high. So maybe during this week we are actually going to have some speculative correction, continuation of dollar downward movement, but then we're going to have a really bad upward jump, really sharp upward jump, about which we have to get ready. So for that we actually have to get ready because now we have some releases, economic releases, which are negative for today. But tomorrow, after tomorrow, we're going to have some decisions from Federal Reserve System, which are going to get released, and they could be really positive for dollar because they could be about the monetary policy tightening to 0.75%, and that could be really good news for dollar. Tomorrow at 1:30, midnight Australia CPI, not so good. Later during the day at 12:30 by GMT from the United States core durable goods order, which is getting lower. The better actual numbers actually could help dollar as well. So if we get any better actual numbers, then the predictions, for example, pending home sales is getting into a deficit date, getting into a deficit number, which is not a really good sign actually. Crude oil inventories at 2 o'clock 30 minutes by GMT at Tuesday. I'm sorry, at Wednesday. From United States, which is the deficit of which is getting higher. This could be good for example, oil prices, and would be really not so good for dollar prices. And the Federal Reserve System monetary policy changing the rate decision, as we see here, this could really rise for 0.75%. So actually the rate could really rise for 0.75%, and that's the kind of really high rising of the federal rate, interest rate. So we're waiting for it, and this Wednesday could be the day when dollar gets a really powerful jump. But before Wednesday, we could continue to observe some the continuation of the dollar downward movement. Mostly, this could be the reality of this week actually. And Thursday, 1:30 from Australia, retail sales getting lower. United States 12:30. Gross domestic products, which are getting a little bit higher, getting out from the deficit. Initial jobs claims from United States, which are getting higher. Unfortunately, here we actually are already observing that situation about which I told you that the job market is actually getting now into consolidation, the releases, I mean, numbers, and then you're going to go actually not into a good, they're not good, we're moving into not a really good future, so due to the numbers. And Friday is actually a little bit empty. German unemployment change, which is getting lower. That's so good for Germany and for Euro during this week's Friday European trade. German gross domestic products, unfortunately, not so good at 8 o'clock. So I don't really believe in the euro's upward movement. In the case of dollar prices downward movement, euro could actually get a little bit supported. So, but I don't think that this movement is going to continue after Wednesday. So dollar actually is going to get strengthened after Wednesday, but would be any chances for euro to get strengthened? I don't think so. And from euro at 9 o'clock CPI, which is not changing. European situation is kind of unchangeable. Core PCE price index, which is getting a little bit higher from the United States. Gross domestic products from Canada, 12.30, getting into a deficit. That's not good for Canadian dollar, but if oil prices continue to rise, this would be not that bad for Canadian dollar. So we actually finished with the economy calendar. We're going to get into the dollar prices, the DXY. Due to the 1 hour chart, we can see that the downward movement continuation is kind of getting stopped around 106.50. So that's a really important level. If we get strengthened under this level, if we get stuck under this zone, under this range, this won't be a really good sign. But I don't think that we are going to get stuck under this range, and mostly we could retest 105.50, for example, but those are really far away levels. Those are some far away, um, as we say, supports, which actually couldn't get retested. So 1.6, oh, I'm sorry, 106, 105.50 could be the main range that could speculatively get retested. But most of the dollar is kind of getting ready for the start of upward movement. So there is some uh, potential of the continuation for the continuation of downward movement, but we are kind of getting near to the levels from which we are going to reverse and we are going to start to rise again. Technically and fundamentally, actually, as well, we have the reason during this week we are going to observe this reversal from the Wednesday, as we see and as we know, due to the economy calendar. So this is what's going on with euro, pound, Australian dollar, and New Zealand dollar situation is kind of here due to the downward movement of dollar. Actually, euro got some support, but this situation here is not so good. So speculatively, we could actually rise to 1.030, maybe 1.040 even, but higher than those two levels we cannot get. So the potential of upward movement here is really speculative. It could actually happen, but this only a speculative movement. So if we even get it, we have to be careful. So we'll close the long positions for euro in the time we could, for example, get the profit, because we could here get into a really bad speculation and think that prices are going to go higher, but they are not actually going to go higher. They would speculatively retest 1.030, 1.040, but then they are going to reverse. So we're waiting for this situation. We're waiting for this reversal actually. Pound to United States dollar. Here is actually a retest of 1.22. Which could get prices to reverse really harshly. Now we're testing 1.21. So 1.2150, 1.22 are the levels after the retest of which we are waiting for the reversal. So we are not actually waiting for the retest. We just telling that those are some maximums, those are some resistance which could get retested. But mostly we are going to reverse before we retest them, before we retest them, or those are just some maximums the prices maximum could actually get to, for example. Those are some borders that prices got the potential to, for example, get them at least, and then they're going to actually reverse further. So Australian dollar to United States dollar situation here is showing us that prices actually retesting a really important psychological level of 0.70. We have a divergence here. We have a different type of signs that's telling us that prices have to reverse. So technically here we are waiting for the reversal, but mostly speculatively we could get to 0.7050, 0.71. So we have to just be careful that speculatively we could get into those levels, but those are not our targets. We actually wait for next reversal, and we have to use this signal of this speculative upward jump of the prices of euro, of the stock market indexes, of pound, of Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar as a signal of a reversal. So we just wait for it. If something like this happens, we can get ready to short them all. And this would be really possible from this Wednesday. New Zealand dollar to United States dollar. 0.63 have been retested. 0.6350 maximum could get retested as well, but mostly here as well we are just waiting for the reversal. Divergence, as you see, between RSI and the maximum is a really obvious thing nowadays. And we get to the energy markets, checking the price of oil, checking the price of gas, checking the price of some Forex pairs which are related to oil prices, for example, like dollar, United States dollar to Canadian dollar, or United States dollar to Mexican peso, for example. So we stuck under the $100. We retested $90 actually, or as we say 92, 1992. We retest those levels. So as you remember from previous time, we told you that there's a psychological level, and in the case of the retest of psychological levels, like for example here, psychological level is 100 actually. And after the test of psychological levels, due to the scale of the psychological level and the movement of the price or the price action, we are going to have some continuation of the trend in a way of a speculative movement. For example, we are going downward, we're getting to the psychological level of 100. The scale of price action actually will allow prices to make some speculative movement to the next target, which is actually the next target level of $90, but this won't mean that prices are going to get lower and lower and lower. This would just mean that prices are finishing the downward, the potential of the downward movement by a continuation of the speculative movement, even after their test of psychological level, just a little bit lower, just a little bit further. So that's what happened. That's what actually the price potential due to historical retests showed us that actually $90 is not that far to could retest it, and actually retested it. So are prices going to go lower? I think that here fundamentally we don't have any reason for that, because this downward movement of oil was related to the demand lowerness of the oil, for example, of the Russian oil and the other reasons. But this situation now is kind of um, as we say, it's finished. The impact of this fundamental reason actually have finished. And prices actually made a really huge amount of movement. And I don't think the price is going to go further or fall further mostly. They have to reverse and just they have to get ready for the prices to reverse and start to rise. But in the case of dollar prices upward movement, here we cannot see a really good upward movement in oil prices. In this case, we could say that dollar prices could make some sharp upward movements, and this would be a really sharp upward movement, which could cause oil prices to make some sharp downward movement. So, thus prices of oil could retest, for example, $80 or $88. Those are actually the main target levels: $80, 100, 120, 140, $60, $40. Those are actually the target levels of the oil. So could we retest $80 due to the daily chart? We actually could retest because it's not that far. $80 is not really that far. It's actually near to the mirror level after the test, of which prices mostly are not going to go further. So here, $80 is not that far as well as we see, but could we retest it in the near future? Due to the movement which we have for now, the pressure on the prices of oil is really high. We are stuck under 100. So before we get above 100, at least 108, and with a good amplitude, I mean, we actually have a potential of the continuation of downward movement. Previous upward movement was really impulsive. That's not a really good sign for bulls. That's not a really good sign for buyers. So until we're under 100, we could continue to fall to 80, not only to 90, but to $80 as well. And the natural gas prices. Here we had the continuation of upward movement. We have reversed from the 550, and as we told you, prices are not going to fall further. They could make some correctional movement at the middle of this impulse, middle of this movement, but actually they didn't do it, and they just continued to fall, to rise further. $9 now we're retesting, 9 maybe 50 we could retest in the near future, but the impulsiveness is telling us that prices could make some get into some consolidation before they continue to rise further. So we have to be a little bit careful for now about gas, because here and now for the demand of gas we could get some problem because of some countries that kind of getting lower day production and making less producing gas, and some of them are actually not using it that much. So most of countries are getting ready to make less use of gas while they're getting near to the cold seasons. And because of that, gas could kind of get into under pressure, but technically here we have some reason. Fundamentally, yet we don't have it. But technically, which should actually be careful. So the retest of $9 could make prices to get into some consolidational phase before they continue to rise further, or before they reverse a little bit. So here and now we're getting into some consolidation phase. We have to be careful here. We have actually border of this consolidation. 950, 850, or 8 could be the really good border for this consolidation or movement during the future. United States dollar to Canadian dollar was that's actually a pair which is related to the energy market. And as we said, the retest of 1.22 was a really speculative movement. Next, we get stuck under 1.30, which is a psychological level, and this is the sign of the continuation of downward move. For now, we are just retesting a really important mirror level of 1.29, 1.28. So before we get under 1.29, before we get stuck under 1.2850, 1.29, before that, we should actually get into consolidation. So here is this consolidation and the latest downward impulse. But mostly we have to be sure that prices here could make some upward movement. They could stuck a little bit in this consolidation movement, then continue to fall. So in the nearest future, if dollar prices, United States dollar prices, make any upward movement, or oil make any downward, for example, movement, this could help this pair to rise a little bit to 1.2950, 1.30 again. But mostly here we have to actually get ready for the continuation of downward movement, despite all of this downward impulses, even I think, because here the upward correctional movement could be really, really unuseful and so powerless. United States dollar to Mexican peso have to be the situation, have to be the same situation actually. So $20.40, $20.50 is the main range. Before we get under which we have to say that maybe prices are going to continue to consolidate or even a little bit rise. But I don't really think that prices mostly here could make any I don't think the prices could make here any kind of for example, sharp or continued upward movement. Here we have already the reversal, and prices generally are going to just continue to consolidate in the midterm. So we're going to retest $20.40, and then we're going to reverse and continue to rise to $20, for example, 60, and then again reverse from $20.60 and go to $20.40, and then again start to rise to $20.60. So here we are actually going to have a continuation in a corridor. Next, we get to the commodity prices. So we're going to start from gold here, and now we see the picture and chart of the gold for our chart. Reversal from 1,680. This was an important level, 1,700, 1,680 were the main levels from which we could get reversed. But this reversal doesn't mean anything. We need to get strengthened above 1,800, 1,780, for example. Those are the good levels. 1,780, 1,800. So that's a range. That's an important range above which we could say that prices are going to rise. But for now, speculatively, in the near future, mostly they could speculatively rise to 1,780, 1,700, for example, 40. they are not going to rise further. So we have to be careful. Mostly here, we could get some upward speculations, but we're getting to get reversed. And the silver prices here, showing us that prices are retesting local minimum of $18, $18.20, and 19, for example, dollars could get retested in the near future, but you have to pay attention that this would be a speculation as well. So mostly here, the continuation of consolidational movement, the retest of local maximums, at least, then the next reversal, and if dollar make any sharp upward movements, commodity could fall a little bit further than local minimums. So we have to pay attention on this factor as well. Get to the palladium prices. A really sharp upward movement to $20, I'm sorry, to $2,000, and that's the psychological level. So we retest the psychological level. Are we going higher? We could get higher. For example, go to 2,100, 2,200, but this would be speculation as well. Palladium is under sanctions, so it got better move price action. Could get a better price action than, for example, gold or silver. But here as well, we have to pay attention that we are going to reverse. We are going to continue to consolidate, for example, get into a consolidation movement. But speculatively, 2,100, I think it's kind of possible to retest in the near future, and especially have to pay attention. This would be just the speculation. So just be careful. And platinum prices, which is getting near to 900, retesting $900. That's a good level. That's psychological level actually. But further, I don't think that we're going to rise. 920, that's the maximum. So we have to get ready for the reversal or just a continuation of consolidational movement here. 900, 910, 920 maximum. I don't think the prices are going to rise further. So next we're going to get to some forex pairs like USD dollar 2 franc, Swiss franc, USD dollar 2 Japanese yen, which are as well the commodities. For example, Japanese yen and Swiss franc, as you know, are the risk assets, are the commodities as well. 0.96, as we told you, 0.96, 0.98 are the levels after the retest of which prices are going to really go downwards so hardly. So dollar prices is falling actually for now. And Swiss franc is more powerful than Japanese yen. But here for now, we are really, the prices actually even on this frame, on this chart, are showing us that dollar is getting ready for reversal. So we're getting near to local minimums, getting to local minimum of 0.95, but I don't think that even we would retest it. So franc is really powerful, Swiss franc, but it's not going to make dollar to retest 0.95. I think that 0.9550 is the maximum which could speculatively retest it. So here we have to be really careful. We have some signs of convergence here. There are so mild signs of convergence between RSI indicator and the minimums, but speculatively we could fall a little bit to 0.9550 maybe. But after that, prices are going to get into consolidational movement, like here, for example, or like here, and then start to rise again. And USD dollar 2 JPY, 2 Japanese yen. Here, situation is a little bit different because Japanese yen is not that powerful. It cannot make dollar to go down that far, for example, as Swiss franc can do. 136, 134 is a range which could get retested, but I don't think that prices are going to get into this range in the near future. I think that mostly prices are going to, for example, maximum retest 136, and then they're going to continue to rise to 138 again, 140 during this week. I mean, this is the movement which could happen during this week. So the retest of 1.36, and then the reversal to a 138, 140. That's really realistic. And we're going to finish today's program by the analyzing of the cryptocurrency main assets analysis. So we got 25,000. We hadn't rise further. Then we got a continuation of downward movement. What is going on next? We have a mirror level now, which is getting retested, which is psychological level 20,000 for Bitcoin. And we could get a little bit lower, but for now, for today, maybe the retest of 20,000 could make prices to stop fall for some days, but then they're going to actually continue to fall. So as stock markets start to fall from the middle of this week, stock market could really start to fall really bad from the Wednesday. Bitcoin as well could start to fall that bad. So maybe the nearest future is, for example, the consolidation for 2 days, and consolidation between 20,000 to 22, and then prices are going to really harshly fall further. Ethereum prices, we're going to check them as well. Here situation kind of the same. So we're retesting some mirror level. We don't know what is going on next. We could go further, but mostly for short term, we could get into some consolidation movement. So we fell down really impulsively. We have some potential of the correctional upward movement, but that doesn't mean anything. We are going to continue the downward movement here as well. Thank you guys that you watched this video. Don't forget to subscribe on our channel and ring the bell so you won't forget any or miss any of our online videos if we are going to have them in the future. Don't forget to check the information on the main official site of Gerchik.com because we have some different packages for traders with really good sell-offs on them, in which of each you can actually find different types of instruments, lessons, and courses for experts and beginners as well. Don't forget to check all this information on the main website, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell. Till next time, have a good tradings and a good time. Bye bye.